This time on Fifth Gear, me and Jonny go head-to-head in our first ever van versus pickup challenge.
Are you going to wear that all day?
Too right I am.
To find out if there's a practical working vehicle that's also quick and comfortable enough to carry the family when the hard graft is over.
Come on!
The team tests the new Cupra Ateca to see if the first car from Seat's old sports division has retained its performance DNA now that they've gone it alone. Jonny and Jimmy are in Korea to get an exclusive first drive of the new Hyundai Ioniq, the Toyota Prius rival, which will be coming to the UK next year.
Wind your window down, enjoy the chaos.
Jimmy will be showing how you can add some serious performance to your motor by creating a custom exhaust.
In my eyes, that is custom work well worth doing.
And it's a new Ford versus old Ford shootout. Can a three-cylinder Fiesta of today outgun a performance legend of the 90s, the mighty Escort Cosworth? But we're starting with van versus pickup, a challenge between two contenders in a fast-growing sector of the car market.
Here's the scenario. You've got a family, so you need a good-sized car that can cover miles quickly and comfortably.
However, you've also got a job that dictates carrying bulky, sometimes mucky materials around. Or you're into outdoor pursuits. Or you're a massive DIY nutter. Or you breed dogs, like Newfoundlands, and you've got 12 of them.
So you need comfort and speed, but also far more space than an estate car or an SUV could provide.
Which means you need two vehicles, right? Wrong. You need a van with a crew cab. And I'll go one further. You need that van.
This is the MSRT Ford Transit Custom. It has 2 rows of seats and a remapped 2-litre diesel turbo that puts out 210 horsepower. It costs £42,000 and is one of the quickest, most powerful production vans in the UK.
Right idea, Jonny, but it's the wrong motor. If you want a properly rugged load lugger and a fast 5-seater, all rolled into one, you want one of these. It's the VW Amarok pickup with crew cab.
In this 3-litre diesel form, the Amarok develops a whopping 258 horsepower and gets to 62 in 7.4 seconds, making it the UK's fastest production pickup. And it too costs 42 grand.
What do you reckon, eh? Good.
You know,
Good,
it's a good-looking thing. It's very premium.
I was going to say, it's quite posh for a pickup.
It's very, very posh indeed.
You can get all the kids in there.
Yeah.
Get 3 in the back.
Yeah.
It's got a roll top, so you can put stuff in. It's got a lock on.
But the great thing about this is just a more impressive package, ultimately. You can fit more in it, I would say. You've got the children in the back, because look, we've got 2 rows of seats like yours, but we've got an enclosed area, weatherproof. Could be a camper van. We've got a whole day now to find out which of these two is the best multitasker. Yeah?
Absolutely, yeah.
Are you going to wear that all day?
Too right I am.
We're going to subject this pair to 3 tests. And as both are designed for working drivers who spend a lot of time behind the wheel, we're starting with an assessment of road manners and comfort.
I love transits, and I love this gen of transit. I personally think when this generation of transit came out, I think it was better than the VW Transporter.
As a vehicle,
Yeah.
it's a good bit of kit, isn't it?
It's fantastic.
The diesel's not noisy.
No, it's not actually, it's really quiet.
Yeah, I like
The
it.
body control and everything's incredible. I know it's unladen, but normally unladen commercial vehicles are a bit skippy. You'll find that with your pickup, I bet.
Do you know
Bit
what?
skippy.
I'm now slightly concerned that how much I'm going to hate that thing.
But the turning on
Relatively
this.
to this. I think I should have a drive of this. I don't like that steering wheel.
It's far too chunky.
Yeah.
This is 40mm lower, right? So it's got proper motorsport springs, dampers, and OZ wheels, yet...
The wheels are nice.
Same payload.
Oh, is it?
So it can still carry the original Ford payload.
Oh, look at the windmills on that piece.
They were
Did
massive.
you see that? There's a lot of kit in here, isn't there?
There's a USB, there's a USB,
Oh, crikey, yeah.
there's a
look at
USB. Look at that, man. Down by the handbrake. Look, there's a 3-pin plug.
That's well handy.
So it's well equipped, but 40 grand, about 15 more than a standard double cab Transit, sounds a lot of money until you remember it's trying to do the job of 2 vehicles. Anyway, time for the 4-wheel drive Amarok.
Going on a job, doing a quote. That's as far as I've got with the lyrics.
So this is the Highline, top spec, sat nav, climate control, the auto, 8-speed box, that, you know.
It's great, isn't it?
Do you hear that? Oh, I've got standard, lovely
V6.
V6. 50 horsepower more than yours.
This is rapid, but the Transit rides better.
Ah, substantially better.
Yeah. But this can go off-road. The Transit's front-wheel drive.
I think the level of trim and fit and upholstery in yours quite a bit better than this.
Yeah. It's a good car, but it doesn't feel like it good value for money necessarily. But if you turned up to do a quote with your hard hat on, in this...
I'd forgotten I had that on my head, actually, to be completely honest.
Would I go, he's earning too much money because he's in a very posh pickup?
So anyway, do you fancy having a drive of this?
Can I? Yeah. Steering wheel's in good shape because it.
Oh yeah, see, compared to that, that's good, isn't
The
it?
Transit wheel is just a bit
It's
silly.
bonkers.
Yeah. Can you feel that shudder?
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
One of my kids gets travel sick, and one of them would not like
They
that.
wouldn't like it, yeah.
Whereas the Transit behaves so well on these back roads.
This is not a lifestyle choice, this car. This is a work car. Whereas I think the Tranny is totally lifestyle.
So it's round one to the Transit as it wins the on-road test. It's more refined and it has better road manners than the pickup.
Later, we'll be heading to the building site to put our motor's working credentials to the test to find out just how good they are at swallowing a ton of stuff.
I'll help you load this washing machine.
Yeah.
Cash.
Now it's time for us to get a first look and a first drive of a brand new model. Yes, it's the fifth gear team test.
This week, the team tested the Cupra Ateca. The Ateca is the first model since Seat's sports-oriented division Cupra became an independent sub-brand. It claims to offer practicality, four-wheel drive capability and rapid performance, and at less than 40 grand. It is an alternative to more expensive hot SUVs from Alfa, Audi and Jag. Gentlemen, this is the new Cupra
Seat.
Ateca. No, you mustn't say Seat because there's no Seat badge on it.
How are you carrying on doing that when he's looking like that?
Normal.
I can
Put
see
a
what
small
you're...
piece of tape across my eyebrows, and now I'm different. Which is why this is nothing like a Seat at all.
I applaud somebody who tries something new. However, what Cupra should have done is make a fundamental new car. And that's the problem here, because there's also a cheaper, identical-looking, though less sporty, Seat Ateca.
Just looks like a cut price superhero breast badge.
I quite like this. I think this car's got good looks.
Look, the car's all right. The branding's just lies and weirdness. I'm still
Weirdness.
Johnny Smith, for goodness sake. You knew it.
This has got some proper performance. 0 to 62 in 5.2 seconds.
Which is exactly the same as the Honda Civic Type R.
300 ponies under the bonnet.
Yeah, so it should be pretty punchy.
It's not a Seat because they tell you it's not, and it's more sophisticated, it's more sporty. So why, in the light, does it say...
Oh.
What does it say? What does it say?
Seat Lighting.
Seat Lighting.
Lighting.
I love that. And of course, if you look at the brakes, it has a 4-ringed Audi badge on it.
We've had a look at some SUVs, okay? This one actually does have
That's
a
a big
decent boot space.
That is a big boot, you're absolutely right. As you know, I have a bit of a bee in my bonnet about why you'd want
An SUV.
a fast SUV.
That's because he can't see the big picture, ever.
Grumpy Johnny.
I'm just interested now in having a lovely time. And then we got inside. I think it's unbelievably drab.
Boring, not different, not what I want from your performance brand.
I want colours, I want textures, I want reflections.
To be fair, there's a lot of room back here, and I love the pan roof.
The pan roof
I do love a pan roof.
Yeah.
triumphant.
Right then, what about handling? So then we went for a drive on the hill route. I drove offs. I do have 6 buttons to play with in terms of setup.
So what have you got? Comfort, sport,
Right, and the next one is a little bit
Hang on a minute.
confusing because the next setting is the Cupra mode.
As a passenger, I didn't really feel the difference. That's not what this is about.
See, if you don't like the cabin, you're going to like that. It goes like stink, and I like stink when it smells like that.
Oh, yeah, you blinder.
It is the best car I've ever jumped.
That Alpine route with Vicky behind the wheel, it really gripped.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, found some understeer.
All right, Vicky, all right.
It felt more like a hot hatch than an SUV.
This is the first SUV I've been in that's tickled me pink.
Oh!
Oh, yeah. I just like what they're doing with this car.
I'm going for another jumper.
Oh, you're not.
Donut!
I'm having fun. What else have we got down on the old control?
Off-road. I'm driving.
We took it off-roading, so Vicky swapped with Jimmy because Jimmy likes off-roading.
Let's off-road. Is this a good moment to mention that I've never been off-roading in an SUV?
We go quite.
Go very gentle because of bumpers.
I always knew there was going to be a bit of a ground clearance problem because it doesn't raise and drop, and it's got this body kit.
I was going slow then.
Not slowly enough.
No, this needs creeping.
Yes.
Give it some squirt. Oh, runs, man.
So from my seat, the off-road experience was...
Oh, has this got descent mode?
Well, I don't know.
Well, it hasn't.
Presumably it has.
Yes. It's doing its own thing.
It
though.
is.
The four-wheel drive system was very clever because you could definitely feel it kicking in and making sure that there was enough traction.
So, with the Ateca well and truly tested both on and off-road, what's the scores on the boards for this SUV from Spanish shores?
I'm giving the super Cupra Ateca 8 out of 10. It goes.
I'm going to have to give it, a 7.
This is a consumer show, it's not all about me. There's a good market for a car like this, apparently, so I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. As long as you ignore the badge completely.
Which gives the Cupra Ateca a very decent team test score of 23 out of 30.
Well done, Seat. Cupra.
Coming up, Jonny and Jimmy in Korea testing a new electric car and hopefully avoiding a political incident in the process.
The batteries are going to go flat and we're not going to be able to leave the North Korean border.
It's quite close.
And we move on to stage 2 of our van versus pickup challenge. Which vehicle is best when it comes to actually being a workhorse?
No, that's upside down.
It's all right, it's all right.
What do you think is it?
It's okay.
Welcome back. Jonny and Jimmy have travelled all the way to Korea and managed to get their hands on something brand new and electric that we won't see in the UK until next year.
Like everything else to do with the automotive industry, it seems this country has hit the ground running when it comes to electric cars.
In fact, this comparatively small country with a population of around 50 million people is now the world's 5th largest buyer of electric vehicles.
Back in 2011, there were 338 electric cars running around South Korea.
Within the next 3 years, this figure is expected to exceed 430,000.
Consequently, the launch of this second-generation Hyundai Ioniq is big news out here.
However, while Jonny is a full convert, I remain a bit cynical about electric cars.
I'm only willing to change if it makes sense. And I'm not still convinced that these fit my lifestyle.
OK.
So, I'm hoping to change Jimmy's mind and have a 3-hour spin around the northern end of Korea to do it.
So the Ioniq came out in 2016. They've sold over 60,000 of them. They've sold 14,000 in the UK alone up until the end of 2018. This is the updated version. So it's now got a 38.3 kilowatt-hour battery pack. The previous car, I think, was 26.
And the bigger battery provides one crucial advantage that all electric car owners crave. The range is the important thing.
Well, it's going to be important because we're going to stop today and run out of power. I know it.
We're not.
That's North Korea, mate.
It's quite close.
The batteries are going to go flat and we're not going to be able to leave the North Korean border. So maximum range of this car?
182 miles on a charge.
182 miles in real life. Are you sure? Not bad, but no cigar.
It's 136 horsepower, 295 newton meters, front-wheel drive, front-motored. If I put it in sports mode, yeah, look, ready? Sport.
Ooh, hey, that's plucky.
Yeah.
What's all that looking like costing?
From £32,000 in Britain.
So is that with the government subsidies?
There is still subsidies. It's 3.5 grand.
Sub 30,000.
Exactly.
Nearly 30 grand for what is essentially a medium family hatchback. That's 10 grand more than a basic Ford Focus.
It seems Jimmy wasn't fully convinced, so to try and persuade him to take the first step into full EV life, I handed him the keys to the Ioniq's new hybrid sibling, an option for those not quite ready to leave their petrol heads and range anxiety behind.
Johnny, first things first, I'm sensing fossil fuels.
Yeah, so we're in the plug-in. There is an engine under there.
I can hear the engine now.
Can you hear it? Yeah. So you've got a 1.6 petrol under the bonnet, 4-cylinder. That's 105 PS.
Yeah.
Or you've got a 43 kilowatt electric motor. There you go. Engine's just cut off. EV now. So at the moment, it's deciding, depending on the throttle position and depending on the amount of battery charge you've got, what to use. This is a plug-in hybrid.
So I can literally get home, plug this in, charge the batteries.
Yeah. And you can drive up to 35 miles, EV only, up to 75 miles an hour.
So for that sort of daily commute type local driving.
Yeah. But you've got 43 litres of petrol on board, should you want to go on a long journey and combine those two powertrains. So you've got options.
So what's this going to cost me?
This is going to cost you from £28,000.
But are you still getting the subsidy on top of that with this?
No. So the subsidy exists for EVs still, but not for hybrids. It's clear what type of car the British government wants you to buy, the all-electric one. However, for electric skeptics like Jimmy, the plug-in hybrid is a good stepping stone. The big lights of Seoul.
Right, this is what is starting to win me over. City driving. In a jam, need to pull out.
Yeah.
Just lift my foot off the brake.
Yeah.
Glide away.
And also, congestion, what's not running?
Engine.
The engine. It already turned it off, didn't need it.
It's true, I'm not quite ready to give up on the dinosaur juice just yet. For me, all electric models are still too expensive and compromised by range.
Wind your window down.
Right.
We're in EV only mode. Enjoy the chaos.
However, I'll admit that hybrids are slowly creeping onto my radar. So who knows? Watch this space.
Today we're on a mission to find out which one of these you should buy if you need to combine the capabilities of a fast, comfortable family car with a tough, large capacity load lugger, and you've got around 40 grand to spend. Should it be the top performance version of VW's Amarok?
Or this tuned and tweaked version of Ford's iconic transit van, the MS RT.
So far, we've looked at life up front, examining the general comfort, specs, space, and driving experience.
It's a good bit of kit, isn't it?
It's fantastic.
And my Ford Transit van won.
Now we need to turn our attention to the other box these vehicles have got to tick, right? They've got to be able to carry heavy, awkward, sometimes mucky items.
Which is why we're here at a building site. Because if there's one trade which know which vehicles work when it comes to carrying anything and everything, it's the builders.
Yes.
Yep, the next part of our challenge is to find out which one of these workhorses can handle a washing machine, a pallet, and some plasterboard.
And we've even brought along our hard hats, so it at least looks like we know what we're doing.
Show me your
Go and have a look.
workspace. Come on. What are we looking at in terms of dimensions here?
1555, 1620.
Right, okay, payload, talk to me.
I know that.
Yeah?
1120 kilos, which is like 15 grown adults in there.
Okay.
That's a lot, isn't it?
Interesting human trafficking reference. Great.
I'm not constraining height like yours.
So what, very few times we're going to buy a massive statue that's 12 feet
What
high?
about plasterboard then?
Okay, or the plasterboard, I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah. Some great big trees for the garden.
My old man has a convertible. He always goes to the garden centre in a convertible on a nice day.
Swing ball, erected.
Pre-erected swing ball.
Yeah.
Don't be ridiculous. Is that a USB or?
12 volt.
Oh my word. See, I like this because obviously you can overshoot with bigger items because you can still see the number plate
And
still
you
see
can
the
go
lights.
to the Polo in it. Obviously, you put some nice slacks on.
Yeah. But this is quite a high loading area, in all seriousness. You've got to get someone up here to put it in.
Yeah, do you know what? Yeah.
There's no doubt the Amarok has potential, but I reckon when it comes to lugging awkward heavy stuff around, my Ford Transit is the way to go.
Right, have a look at this. You've never seen a bigger tailgate. Watch this. Behold.
Oh, do you know what? It's nice now.
It's good on a day like today, you see. Good sunshade, good rain shade.
That doesn't look anything like... Oh, actually. Do you know what I mean? That's much bigger than I thought.
So this is 1.6 deep, yeah? 1.4 high metres, obviously. 1.8 wide. It's carpeted. Lower, 25 centimetres lower.
Yeah, do you know what? That's going to come into its own, isn't it?
Payload, actually not as good as yours. 1098, 1090.
It's only
nearly, isn't it?
They're going off another tea break, aren't they?
Well, I would. Would
Well,
you?
We've been working for a bit. Should we have tea break now?
No, we need to actually load some stuff in the van.
Yeah, but not before we've had a cup of tea and a biscuit.
Fair play. It has been 12 minutes.
English breakfast and rich teas done. It's time to get back to the job in hand.
Oh, look at this. I've got the wrong glove on. Have you got 2 left?
I've got 2 right.
Ah, well, here we go.
Oh, hang on. Viewers at home, can you imagine Jason Plato coming around to your house and quoting for a
That's
job?
going in there. A treat. Oh, you dirty thing.
No. Do you want
Mate,
some?
I need a hand.
I was going to say you're going to bust a gut getting that on board. It'll cost you, by the way. Listen, I'll help you load this washing machine.
Yeah.
Cash.
How much you want?
I'll tell you what, I'll trade you. You can help me load mine, because I'll probably pop an O-ring otherwise. Right, ready? You've got the transit bolts in.
No. Don't know what that means.
You don't know what the transit... No, that's upside down.
It's all right, it's all right.
What do you mean, is it?
It's okay.
Will it close, though?
It will. A bit of that.
So it's fouling the...
Oh, no.
Yeah. There you go. Well, yeah, but it's in, but, you know, if you do more than 25 miles an hour, that's going to just fold back and fall into the motorist behind you.
No, it won't.
How do you know?
Maybe it's a bit of
But you've not had to cut it.
strap. No.
All right, my turn. There we go.
Although the pallet's gone in no problem, I won't get my plasterboard in without cutting it.
I need that to be 5 feet. I mean, this is slightly more long-winded than your pickup, I'll give you that. Job's a good one. It's days like this, I feel very glad that I'm a strong person.
It's in.
Is it smelling?
Smells like curry.
It doesn't matter, it's pre-sold, it's already been sold. Now that should go in with ease. It doesn't look quite as good. Hang on, hang on.
Just close the door, it'll be all right.
No, look. It's absolutely fine. Right? Yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
So, both our vehicles are fully loaded and we are both without hernias. I think you can say that's a job well done, but there can only be one winner.
Okay, verdict.
That's better for loading, isn't it?
On a day like today.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Because if we were doing this in the slashing British rain, I think your little board would be like that by
Well,
now.
I'd do the plasterboard the next day.
Yeah, you'd have to plan your diary differently.
Yeah.
Whereas I have to pre-cut the plasterboard or buy a roof rack. So it's a little bit complicated, but I'm going to say you've probably won that.
Join us later when we'll be taking these two out on the track for a final test of agility and grunt.
Come on, let's go and have a coffee.
Yeah.
Do you fancy a cheese and ham roll?
Coming up, we roll back the years to see if a benchmark lap time set by the hot hatch of the early 90s, the Ford Escort Cosworth, can be matched by our favourite hot Ford of today, the Fiesta ST. Yes. And Jimmy will be fitting a performance exhaust to show how it can give your motor a lot more power.
You little beauty.
Now it's time to take a trip back in time at the fabled Anglesey test track for a fifth gear shootout. It's where we test two cars with similar specs in a fastest lap winner-takes-all showdown. Right then, it's a Ford family new versus old challenge to see if nearly 30 years of engineering advances can put a mere Fiesta on par with a super fast icon of the 90s. This is the Ford Escort Cosworth, and it set new hot hatch performance standards when it was unleashed to the world in 1992. Its four-wheel drive system and 2-litre turbo engine propelled it to 62 in 6.1 seconds and onto a top speed of 140 miles an hour.
It is great, though.
The new Fiesta ST only has a 3-cylinder 1.5-litre engine, but on paper at least has almost identical performance figures, getting to 62 in 6.5 seconds. Yes. And going on to 144 miles an hour. The Cosy was the equivalent of about 50 grand when new, but the Fiesta is less than half of that. So do you now get more bang for less bucks? Let's start by setting the benchmark in the legendary Cosworth.
Now, while this 1995 Escort Cosworth with 15,000 miles on the clock is in immaculate condition, you know, it has missed out on, you know, years and years of technological advancements, but in its day, it's quite ahead of its time actually, with four-wheel drive, 227 horsepower, massive great big turbo. The first thing which strikes you is the seating position is just awful. I feel like I'm sat on the car rather than in it. The other thing which is very apparent is just how much turbo lag there is. You know, you put your foot down and you literally wait for a second or two for the boost to build, and there it is. There's a suppleness, a softness to the suspension, which you don't really get in modern day hot hatches. And you know, back in the day, this was the first production car which had, you know, downforce at the front as well as the rear.
The whale tail wing on the back and large splitter on the front produce genuine handling improvements.
You know, you can feel it, you can place it exactly where you want to. Yes. Oh man, a little Scandi flick in the Escort Cosy. Like it. Do you know what? It's ancient, but it's still great fun.
Time for a hot lap.
Here we go. Oh man, a little bit of oversteer there, like it. Power, 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 come on. And do you know what? The high-speed front grip it's not bad. 110 already. Right, no Scandi flick, because I'm looking for lap time. Right, come on. A few more corners to go. Let's get in here. Oversteer there. Right, get on the power, get the boost up. Here we go. Oh, ran a bit wide there. And stop the watch.
And it crosses the line in 1 minute 25.95 seconds. Let's see what the Fiesta ST can do.
Now, the last version of the Fiesta ST was an ankle tag-wearing hoodlum. Had a 1.6 litre four-cylinder turbocharged engine, which, to be honest, we just couldn't get enough of. So it's pretty brave of Ford to drop a cylinder.
And not only has it gone down to 3 cylinders, but the capacity has also been lowered to just 1.5 litres.
All done really to lower emissions and therefore your tax bill, and also to save your petrol by increasing the MPG. But has that taken anything away from the sheer fun of the old one? Now, this car's got a £900 option, which is a performance pack, which gives you proper mechanical limited slip diff.
The optional diff helps control the power delivery between the front wheels, so the Fiesta can get more power down in the corners.
So we've got 3 settings on here. We've got normal, sport, and racetrack. And then we'll change, you know, your performance characteristics of the car. All very good, but let's just leave it in racetrack, eh?
Time to find out whether all that technical innovation really does make a big difference. Start the clock.
Come on, JP. Get a good exit, use the curb. Bit of oversteer on the way in here, just help it turn, that's it.
At the first checkpoint, the Fiesta is almost 1 second ahead.
Hard on the power. Oi. Chassis feels good, good grip, good balance on the way into the corners, and you've got just gradual power understeer on the way out. The steering's really positive. I can feel the rear wheel just cocking up at the back. High speed corner, got to get the thing to rotate a little bit on the way in. A little rotate, there we go. And on the power. It's still quick, it's dynamic, it's good fun. Well, there's 100 already, 110, 120 miles an hour on the brakes. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh, you can hear the brakes grumbling, can't you?
At the second checkpoint, the ST has pulled a further second ahead.
It feels like it's got quite good torque, actually, even in third gear coming out of that hairpin. Here we go, come on, come on! A little bit of understeer there.
Well, I want a good exit from here on the power. That's good. Stop the watch.
And the Fiesta crosses the line in 1 minute 22.42 seconds. That's 3.5 seconds quicker than the Cuzzy. So whilst you've still got to love the car that set the benchmark for a fun, fast Ford years ago, the new Fiesta ST has managed to top it, thanks to modern technology. Now it's time for our resident car tuner and all-round engineering supremo, Jimmy DeVille, to get his hands dirty as he shows us how, with a bit of specialist help, we can make our cars perform better.
All over the country, there are loads of specialist tuners, fabricators and workshops who can add a little bit of magic to your car. Today, I'm at Demand Engineering in Ipswich, and their expertise is exhausts.
These guys are experts at building bespoke exhaust systems, and today they've agreed to help me to try and improve the power and performance of this 10-year-old Mini Cooper S by adding a brand new sports exhaust. But before we get onto that, let's explain exactly what exhaust systems do. Well, firstly, they stop unpleasant and smelly exhaust gases from entering the passenger compartment by passing them to the back of the car. Secondly, they reduce noise.
If our cars weren't fitted with an exhaust system, then the noise could be unbearable, not only for the driver and the passenger, but also for the people outside. I mean, that is seriously loud.
And thirdly, they filter out the pollutants created when the engine fires. There are three key components to an exhaust system, starting with this weird-looking set of pipes called a manifold, which attaches to the engine.
Now, the complexity of the manifold depends on how many cylinders the engine has. So this would be for a V8, hence there are 8 pipes, 4 on one side, 4 on the other. Now this would be for a V6, hence there are 3 outlets on this side. Now when you're building exhaust, it's right here, you've got to get it right when 3 pipes become 1, because if the diameter of this is too small, you're going to build up back pressure because the exhaust gases can't escape easily enough, and that make your engine run like a bag of spanners.
So I'll be looking to fit a nice wide pipe at this point to make sure this problem is avoided.
Next up is the catalytic converter. It takes the harmful emissions, hydrocarbons, carbon monoxide and nitrogen oxide produced by the engine and reduces them substantially. The last part of our exhaust is the silencer. Now this is the silencer from a fairly standard car, and within it we have a series of tubes, perforations and chambers, and it's rerouting the gases around this quite complex route that reduces the sound.
A poor silencer can slow down the expelled exhaust gases, meaning the engine doesn't perform efficiently. So I'm going to fit a special type.
We're going to be using a silencer like this, which is an absorption silencer. Now this allows the gases to pass through it straight through, but it's this material around these perforations that absorb the sound, changing the exhaust note and reducing the sound. It's this that our exhaust needs.
Before I get busy making my sports exhaust, I want to find out what the baseline brake horsepower is on my Mini, with its standard exhaust fitted. And for that, I'm using a man and his portable rolling road.
Right, so the guys have just done the first test on the rolling road. This car still has 170 brake horsepower.
Normally, cars lose power over the years, but amazingly, 170 horsepower is what this car started life with. But I reckon I can still improve on that.
It's time to get this into the workshop and get on with the exhaust.
First up, I need to select the right diameter pipe for the Mini. Giving me a hand will be the boss man, Dan.
Come on then, Dan. All of this different size tube, how do I know which one is right for our Mini?
Because we're forced induction, so it's turbocharged, we're going to use a bigger diameter pipe than we might use for a naturally aspirated car.
Okay.
So we're going to go for
down here somewhere.
Yep, the 2.5 inch for the front pipe.
Yep, 2.5 for the front pipe.
And then because it's a road car and we're going to attenuate the noise a little bit for the road, we're going to bring it down to 2.25 for the back box.
Next, we need to cut the pipe to the correct length.
7.5 feet, please, sir. Push the start button, and that is it.
Now I need to put a little bend into it. This will help to shape the pipe to ensure it fits snugly and connects to the engine manifold properly, without causing any of that nasty back pressure.
Okay, this pipe needs a 7-degree bend. I need to turn the hydraulics on. Then I need to close the clamp, outer support. Now it's time to do the bend. 7-degree bend. The middle job of building this custom sports exhaust is the catalytic converter. This is the original cat off the Mini, and you can see here this cat has 600 cells per square inch. That's quite a fine matrix, and it's that matrix that stops the particulate and the exhaust gases flowing. Now here we have our sports cat. This now has 200 cells per square inch, so that allows exhaust gases to flow better while still taking out the particulate this car needs to run legally on the road. Let's see how that works. Here I have a can of Magician's Smoke, and if I pump this down the original one, not a lot comes out the other end. However, if I get our sports cat and do the same, now we have really good exhaust gas flowing. This should give our car the performance it needs.
The final part of my sporty exhaust puzzle is the silencer. Time to roll out my high-tech absorption one.
This is the silencer going together, and this is all about absorbing pressure waves or sound, and it does that with several different layers.
The first layer is a perforated tube, and it sits in the centre of the silencer.
Now this allows the gases to flow freely, but also through these perforated holes allows the sound or pressure waves to travel, and they travel from that into here. Now the first layer they go through is stainless steel wire wool, and that's really a heat protective layer. From that, the sound or pressure waves travel into this, which is fiberglass hair. That's where I'm wearing gloves because it's rather itchy. And then after that we have the fiberglass matting, and then on the outside it's all held together with this skin.
With all the component parts of my exhaust ready, all I need to do now is start welding everything together.
That's the exhaust done. Now it's time to fit it.
Fitting a bespoke exhaust system is worth considering for any performance car. Although obviously there's no need to build one from scratch like I have.
That's my handiwork finished. Now it's time to test it out on the rolling road.
Adding my new exhaust system means the car's electronic brain, the ECU, has to be reprogrammed so the engine can perform to its best with the new system. It sounds good, but let's see what our handiwork has done to the power output.
Okay, that is the rolling road finished with the remap, and the custom exhaust is finished. And this car now has an impressive 209 brake horsepower. That's a 23% increase on its original 170 brake horsepower. In my eyes, that is custom work well worth doing. You little beauty.
Coming up, it's the final part of our van versus pickup challenge.
Oh, good start, good launch.
So far, the scores are level, so it's all down to which has superior agility and speed.
Welcome back to our 40 grand van versus pickup challenge to find out the most versatile vehicle if you have a lifestyle that combines carrying families and bulky objects and the need for a bit of speed.
So far, the Transit won us over with its on-road manners and luxurious interior. However, the pickup truck took a bigger load, so squared the contest at 1-1. Although these vehicles are essentially people and cargo carriers, let's not forget they top the performance tree in their respective categories and clearly target drivers who enjoy a bit of sportiness. So, for our final test, we want to find out which offers the best blend of agility and outright acceleration. Each vehicle will race side by side through a row of cones before making a headlong dash for the finish line. It'll be the best of 3 runs to ensure a fair result.
So I've got a whopping 580 newton meters of torque, which is 94 more than Jonny. Now I've also got a 4-wheel drive system, so off the line this will have much more grip, and that probably accounts for my pretty impressive 0 to 62 time of 7.4 seconds. That's pretty quick, isn't it? So I reckon, whilst that might be a bit better around the twisty stuff and through the slalom, I think my overall grunt, launch off the line and grip might help.
I'd love to tell you the 0 to 62 time of the MS-RT, but MS won't tell me. Maybe they don't know. Needless to say, I think it's slightly slower on the acceleration to him because the Amarok is both 4-wheel drive and I know it's got more power, more horsepower. This is 210. That's about 40 more. But this is lighter And I think this van is more agile because it's got lowered stiffened suspension. It's also got, I've noticed, on the OZ wheels, it's got Michelin Pilot Sport tyres. So I think it's going to be nimbler in the slalom, but the outright drag at the end, I have a feeling that Plato's going to beat me.
3, 2, 1, go!
Come on, son. I think that was a cone. Oh, stability control kicked in. No, he's had me.
I think I hit a cone, unfortunately, and stability control nabbed me.
Well, clear win for the pickup.
So Plato in the pickup won the first run with the extra grunt. Maybe a different technique would turn things around on the second go.
Right, rematch. Too many revs off the start line. Went in too hot to one of the cones and caught it. Must improve, Johnny.
3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, good start, good launch. Oh, a bit hotty. It's quite a lumbering old beast in here, but it's got some grunt.
Come on, come on!
Sorry for the pickup.
Just out-dragging me with that torque. It's that torque that blimmin' Amarok's got is really impressive.
This is better off the line.
Yeah.
And once we get out the slaloms, it's away. Through the slalom, that's a much better vehicle.
Yeah.
But it just hasn't got enough grunt. And the ESP's getting in the way.
ESP is really...
And I've got my hat on, which you don't.
So 2 runs down and Plato's won both rounds in the pickup. Perhaps I can salvage some race dignity with my final run. I need to get into van driving character.
Sport. Sport van. Sport. Sport van. Sport.
3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, it's a bit late off the line then.
Come on.
Have to make up some time. Yeah, all your fighter. Here we go.
Come on! Come on! Come on! It's close! Come on! That was the closest so far. That was maybe a car length. You rat! You cowboy building rat! I have to say though, it is rapid. You forget you're in a van.
While the van had handled the slalom well, it lacked the sheer power of the Amarok, which was a clear winner in our performance test.
So, I didn't beat you on any of those.
I'm disappointed actually, because I quite like that.
I reckon that's the better engine. This is more fun to drive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ultimately.
This is all still
It's still...
leaf springs, four-wheel drive.
It is prehistoric underneath that facade.
Yeah. That's the car to have.
Yeah.
The van to have.
Yeah.
So this wins, but actually that wins. Do we think that?
I think that's the perfect verdict.
Yeah. This wins, but actually it doesn't. If
Truth.
it does, that wins.
Truth.
On this day, and given the specific tests we chose, the VW Amarok edged a win thanks to its speed. However, if we had to take one vehicle home and drive it every day and chuck dogs, cement and fridges in the back, the MSRT Transit would be our vehicle of choice. And yeah, that's a bit confusing, but sometimes life is.